Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast, special edition show, my 2024-25 NBA season predictions. This isn't going to be your typical NBA season predictions podcast. I'm just going to do projected standings, and then I'll do the playoffs, go round by round, and I'll predict the award winners, and then I'm going to do some futures at the end of the recording. So let's start in the Eastern Conference. As my number one seed, with a record of 56-26, the New York Knicks. That's right. The New York Knicks are my pick to be the one seed in the East this year. Some may consider it bold. Others may not. Yes, there's injury risks on this team with Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby, but Jalen Brunson is a superstar who's mostly durable. You have Mikal Bridges, who's very durable, and he's going to be amazing for this team. I think Dante DiVincenzo is a huge loss, but there's a good point of like where his minutes coming from because of the Bridges ad and the surplus they had at the position. They have Josh Hart, who's probably going to start for them. Mitchell Robinson's not going to be back till the middle, if not the end of the season. So that's why I understand the Karl-Anthony Towns trade for them. I really believe that the trade is going to work out a win-win for both teams, and that's where I landed on that trade. And those are the best trades, the ones that always end up a win-win for both sides, and that's how I think it's going to play out, because I think Karl-Anthony Towns would fit excellent on the Knicks. They needed a shooting big man. He's better than Julius Randle, and he's a good three-point shooter too. Meanwhile, Randle could replace Towns' production, and they have the new sharpshooter off the bench in Dante. But we can get into Minnesota when we get there. But those teams are going to be linked together all season long for the trade alone. And I think that their bench is going to be good with Miles McBride and the rookie that they picked in the draft, Bakame Diadet, who a lot of people really like. Precious Achiuwa's out to start the season, which is a big loss. Jericho Sims showed last year that he could rebound and stuff. And plus, there's always room for improvement for the trade deadline, whether it's a buyout guy or an outright trade. So I really am high on the Knicks, and I think that because of their home court and the durability of Bridges and Brunson, I think that they can very well get the one seed. And the number two seed, I have the record of 54-28, the Boston Celtics, your reigning NBA champions. Most people think that they're going to be the one seed. I do not. There's always that championship hangover from the team that wins the title. And plus, they're not going to have Kristaps Porzingis to start the season, which is a huge loss. And he might not be back till the All-Star break either. And I think the loss of Porzingis is bigger than the loss of Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks because of the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. I think that kind of offsets that loss. But yeah, Porzingis is a huge loss. And you can make a case they don't win the finals without him. Like, he came back for the finals and had some big moments for them. Like, you can make a case that they don't win the finals without his good performances in games 1 and 5. Like, I gotta be honest about that. But Jason Tatum, I think he's gonna be better than the playoff run he had and the narrative that's going around him and him being benched in the Olympics. I think he's gonna come back a better player. Jaylen Brown's awesome. He's a franchise guy, too. They have two awesome guys. And they have great role players. Drew Holiday's amazing. He's better than a role player. Derek White's awesome. So Boston's going to be there to stay. And Joe Mazzulla has proven to be a really good NBA head coach. Number 3, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers at 52-30. I like this Cavs team a lot. They brought the band back together, which was the right move, in my opinion. They have a new coach in Kenny Atkinson, which I think is a bonus for them after they got rid of their coach after the playoffs last year. And I think Atkinson's going to get a lot of this out of this team. They're going to shoot some threes. And I think their defense is actually going to be somewhat decent. I really like Evan Mobley's ability. He could make the leap this year, finally. So I like this Cavs team. Max Strus is out for a couple of weeks to start the season, which isn't great. We talked about that on the regular show and News and Notes today. but I think that they can overcome that loss, and that Big Four can carry them in the regular season. In fourth place, I have a record of 50-32, the Philadelphia 76ers. This Sixers team has a lot of potential, but at the same time, I think it has a low basement. Paul George joins Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, new big three there. I don't love the fact that Joel's saying he can't play back-to-backs anymore, which it probably is for the better, but at the same time, you got to manage that well. Because if you have a back-to-back, let's say if you're home against the Celtics and then at the Knicks the next night, if I'm Embiid, you play both of those games because those are important games in the standings, especially in the Eastern Conference playoffs. So, I do think Philly got better. I do like the Caleb Martin pickup. I think that Nick Nurse in year 2, they're going to be better. So, I don't know if their record would indicate it, because I think that Embiid's going to miss some time and Paul George is going to miss some time. Maxey sometimes gets hurt too, so I still think the Sixers, because of their depth, because they have a good coach, are a 50-win team. But I think there's a chance that they're not a 50-win team. Fifth place in the East, the record 48-34, the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks, I almost picked them to finish third in the conference, but I didn't have the balls to do it because I realized that their depth behind Giannis, Dame, and Chris Middleton's weak. Doc Rivers' first full season. They did have some nice additions to their team. Such as Taurean Prince and DeLon Wright. So they didn't have some depth, but I just don't think that team is a serious championship contender anymore. In sixth in the conference, I have it 47-35, the Orlando Magic. This Magic team, I think, is going to be pretty good. I do think there's a chance they are in the top 4 in the conference. But I just think that the conference is a little bit better than given credit for. I was tempted to put them 5th, but I couldn't do that to Giannis. Jalen Suggs just got paid. Paolo Banchero, franchise guy. KCP is a big addition. Tristan Da Silva they got in the draft. Gary Harris is a veteran. Caleb Houston had some moments last year. Cole Anthony had moments. Jamal Mosley, really good head coach. 7th in the conference, I have the record of 46-36, the Indiana Pacers, your Eastern Conference Finals representative last season. They, to me, feel like a team that's going to take a step backward. I know they have Benedict Mathurin coming back from injury. Tyrese Halliburton should be better. I like Ben Shepherd. I think Tristan Newton's going to help them as a rookie. It's a good team. Aaron Nesmith's a good defensive player. Andrew Nembhard had some big shots. Siakam a full season. Miles Turner's an injury risk guy. But they could be better than that. Number 8, I have the Miami Heat at 44-38. I just don't think the Heat are a contender anymore. I think that they missed their window with that run a couple years ago. I feel like that was their run. Unless they make some monster trade. But I don't think they can win 2 or 3 playoff rounds with the roster as constantly constructed. Jimmy Butler and Bam are still there. Maybe this is a blow-it-up team at the end of next season. Nikola Jovic is a nice young player. Jaime Jaquez, nice young player. Tyler Herro. So they have a nice little core. Josh Richardson, Kevin Love's still there. I can't believe he's still in the league. Terry Rozier was their trade pickup from last season. Number 9, with the record of 39-43. I have them surprising some people this year. The Chicago Bulls. Yes, there's always a surprise team that sneaks into the play-in tournament. And I have the Bulls as that team this season. Nikola Vucevic is still there. Lonzo Ball back from injury, but that's a question mark. They added Josh Giddey, who I think is going to have a big chip on his shoulder this season. Zach LaVine, maybe he's traded at some point. Kobe White's coming off a career year. Patrick Williams has some potential, so it's going to be interesting with this team. And Billy Donovan tends to get a lot out of his players. And last season, they were in the play-in game as well. So why not? And here's another surprise team in the play-in tournament for you guys. With a record of 37-45, the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, the Charlotte Hornets I have in the play-in game. So they take DeJounte Saloon and KJ Simpson, the draft. Brandon Miller, year 2. He's going to be a most improved candidate. LaMelo Ball. Miles Bridges. Maybe he put his personal stuff behind him. Maybe he should be better. Taj Gibson's a veteran. I think he's washed, but he's just a veteran voice. Same with Seth Curry, who I think is going to help him. Cody Martin is on this team. For some reason, I thought Cody Martin was on the Sixers. Caleb Martin's on the Sixers. All right, so I had the right Martin guy. Kelly Oubre's back on this team. Or no, that's Philly. I had the Philly roster pulled up by accident. Mark Williams is a guy a lot of guys like. Grant Williams is on this team. Mark Williams is a guy that's injured right now, but maybe that could be a good player for them. Nick Richards, I think, is going to be a trade candidate for them. Josh Green's on this team now. So, nice group of players, and I think Charles Lee is a guy that could end up being a good NBA head coach. 11th in the conference, 33-49, the Atlanta Hawks. I think that Atlanta's a team that is in the decline. They lose DeJounte Murray. They still have Trae Young, but I just don't think they're better without DeJounte Murray. Maybe that's a Ewing theory thing, but you never know. Clint Capella's still on this team. Bogdanovich just feels like a fantasy team. DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson just got paid. Larry Nance is on this team now. Nick Okonkwo, Cody Zeller, and then the number 1 overall pick, Zachary Richardson. So there's a lot of guys on this team, but they feel like a trade machine team come February. Number 12 in the conference, a record of 27-55, the Toronto Raptors. I don't think this Toronto team's going to be any good. They get Jacoby Walter in the draft, as well as Jonathan Magobo and Jamal Sheed. They have pretty much the old Knicks roster with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley to go with Scotty Barnes. Ochai Agbaji's on this team. Bruce Brown's still on the team. Chris Boucher's still on this team. Grady Dick, they're relying on to make a leap. Davion Mitchell's on this team. Kelly Olynyk, Jakob Poeltl, Garrett Temple. So there's a lot of trade candidate guys on this team too, and I do not like their coach, Darko Rajkovic. I feel like that could be like a 1.5 and done coach, kind of like Antonio Pierce potentially with the Raiders. Coming in 13th, I have the record of 25-57, the Detroit Pistons. I think the Pistons are going to be improved by 11 wins, which is nice, but I think that Detroit is going to be better. J.B. Bickerstaff's now their coach. I mean, he's not the worst coach in the world. Ron Holland, they got in the draft, same with Cam Spencer from UConn. Cade Cunningham should be better. Jalen Duren. Tim Hardaway's on this team. Jaden Ivey. Wendell Moore Jr. is a good player. Oscar Thompson they're relying on to make a jump. So Detroit should be improved with the new coach. And Luke Walton's on the staff. He was an NBA head coach in the past. So I think Detroit's going to be better, but the win total won't show it. 14th, 20-62, the Washington Wizards. A lot of people think Washington's going to be the worst team. I think somebody else is going to be the worst team. We'll get to that in a second. They picked Alex Sarr second overall. Dylan Jones they picked in the first round as well. They still have some guys I like on this team. Marvin Bagley, Sadiq Bey, I think would be good for them. Bilal Coulibaly, I like. Will Johnny Davis finally come aboard? They have a couple veterans I think could potentially be trade bait. Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole. Jonas Valanciunas is on this team. Keyshawn George I really like as well. And obviously Corey Kispert. And then they have a new coach in Brian Keefe. So I think that the Wiz are terrible, but there's one team that's worse than them, obviously. And that is the Brooklyn Nets, who I have at a record of 18-64. I think they're going to be a disaster. Jordi Fernandez is their new coach. That's a trade machine team, too. Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, Cam Johnson, Bojan Bogdanovic, who they got in the Bridges deal, Shake Milton, Cam Thomas, Zaire Williams, Jalen Wilson. So, they have a lot of young guys, but I do think they have a lot of trade machine guys. Dennis Schroeder's a trade machine guy. So, Brooklyn's just bad. To me, they're the leader in the clubhouse for Cooper Flagg or the Rutgers kid Dylan Harper or even Ace Bailey, who a lot of people like. I think there's 3 franchise guys in this draft, and I just listed them. And the Brooklyn Nets obviously want the big star in Cooper Flagg. This reminds me of 2 years ago when the Spurs tanked all out for Victor Wembanyama, and it worked out. Everyone said that they were going to get him, and they got him. And then in the Western Conference, I have in first place with a record of 60-22 the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's my only 60-win team in the association this year. This is an awesome team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they had Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein's going to miss the start of the year, which is a big loss. You have the 2 Jalen Williamses. The one, this spells his name Jalen, is the better Jalen Williams, obviously. And you have Kenrick Williams as well. Dylan Jones is actually on this team. That was my mistake that I said he was on the Wiz, but he's actually on the Thunder. That was Wizards traffic, but he's on the Thunder. Obviously, Chet Holmgren, who's really good. He's going to be a star in this league. Lou Dort's a good role player. There's so many Dang they're relying on to make a jump, or maybe that could be a piece of a trade, and Isaiah Joe's a good bench guy. So this team's absolutely loaded, and I think there's a chance that they make a trade to make their team better. Coming in second in the conference, I have the record of 55-27, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like this Timberwolves team a lot. I think that trade with the Knicks is going to make them better, and I think it makes the Knicks better too in a weird way, as I brought up earlier. They trade up in the draft to get the guy from Kentucky, Rob Dillingham. Still have their veteran core together for the most part. Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. And like I said, they add DiVincenzo and Randall in the trade. Jaden McDaniels is still there. Joe Ingles. People think he's washed, but we'll see. Naz Reid. I think this is good for him that Towns got traded. And now they're going to have some crunch time stuff with him, Randall, and Gobert. So we'll find out about that. I think Luka Garza is going to help them too. This team is awesome, and I can't wait to watch them. And Chris Finch is a good coach. Coming in third, I have the record of 52-30, the Dallas Mavericks. Your Western Conference representative from the finals last year. Obviously, I think they're going to be awesome. Luka's one of the best, if not the best player in the league. So have Kyrie. You add Klay Thompson to that mix. They have Dinwiddie. Dante Exum's on this team still. Maxi Kleber is still on the team. Derek Lively was a good draft pick from last year. Markieff Morris, I think, could help them. P.J. Washington was a good trade ad from last year. Najee Marshall, I think, is going to help them. So they're a really good team, and I can't wait to watch them. Coming in fourth in the conference, I have the record of 50-32 to Denver Nuggets. I just don't think this Denver team is the same as in the past. They get De'Ron Holmes in the draft. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is still around. You still have Murray, who a lot of people are starting to doubt, Jamal Murray, as are we sure he's a number 2 on a contender? But he was a number 2 on a contender the year they won the title. And it's just sad that people are having doubts and people are just thinking he had a hot run because of Jokic. But I think that's to be determined. Aaron Gordon's still there. Christian Braun, they're relying on to be better. Jalen Pickett, they're relying on to be better. They added Dario Saric. Michael Porter Jr. is a guy I feel like they're going to want to trade. Russell Westbrook's on this team now, which is wild. And Julian Strawweather's another guy they want to make a jump for them. And Peyton Watson. So they have a lot of young guys that they are relying on. And Mike Malone, hot seat, maybe? Next, fifth in the conference, 49-33 record, I have the Suns of Phoenix, the Phoenix Suns. Some people are higher on the Suns than I am. I like the Suns team, but not as much as others. I don't have them as top 4 seed in the West. They still have, obviously, Booker and Durant and Bradley Beal and Nurkic. They did add some guys in the offseason, and they got better in the draft. They picked Ryan Dunn in the draft. Grayson Allen was a good pickup for them last year. Josh Okogie's going to help them. Mason Plumlee's a good backup center. Royce O'Neal they brought back. Monte Morris I like. Damian Lee had moments on the Warriors, and I like Tyus Jones as well. So I like the Suns team, but they're in a good conference, and I really like Mike Budenholzer. I think he's a better fit on this coaching staff from this team than Frank Vogel. I think it's a wash, but Budenholzer is just a better fit. Coming in sixth in the conference, I have the record of 47-35, the Memphis Grizzlies. I like this Memphis team. Obviously, the big deal is that John Morant's coming back, and I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder and play his ass off. But the big blow for the team, Jaren Jackson Jr. is out to start the season, which is a big deal. Gigi Jackson's also out. I like Zach Edey. Desmond Bane is a good player. Brandon Clark I like. Marcus Smart brings a nice element to this team. Vince Williams is a nice player as well, and I really like Taylor Jenkins. I think he's a good coach. But they just had the year from hell last year. 7th seed, I have the record of 46-36, the Sacramento Kings. I like this Kings team. It has potential. They added DeMar DeRozan to go with De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis. They bring back Malik Monk. Doug McDermott's a good three-point shooter. I have on the team Kevin Huerter's still there. But yeah, this team's loaded from a depth standpoint. But who knows how it's going to mesh. And plus, the conference is really good. Keegan Murray should be better as well, by the way. And Mike Brown, I think, has done a good job with this team since he's been there. 8th in the conference, 44-38. This is going to surprise some people. The Houston Rockets. Yes, I have the Houston Rockets in 8th. I think Reed Shepherd is going to fit really nicely on this team with the group they have with Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and Jabari Smith and Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore. They're loaded. Eamon Thompson should be better. Jock Landale's a good backup center. Aaron Holiday's a good three-point shooter. Jeff Green's a good veteran to have. Ime Udoka, really good coach. So yeah, this team I'm really, really high on this season. 9th in the conference. I have the record of 42-40. The New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans are an interesting team. Zion looks like he's in better shape, but it looks like he's injured already. Obviously, you have Brandon Ingram still on this team, CJ McCollum, and then you add Jamal Murray to this team. DeJounte Murray to this team, which makes it an interesting mesh. I don't know how long it's going to take for this team to gel. Trey Murphy could be a trade candidate for them. Jose Alvarado's still on this team. I like Herb Jones. He's good. They had Yves Missy in the draft. I kind of think secretly Jonas Valanciunas is a big loss for them. I do. So, we'll see. 10th place in the conference I have with the record of 41-41. The Golden State Warriors. I knew I was going to make a couple of interesting playoff omissions, but it came down to, for me, betting on the star player that you trust to stay healthy the most, and to me that's Steph Curry. And the coach I trust the most to do the best job, and that is, of course, Steve Kerr. He was a fantastic head coach. And the front office I trust the most, which is Mike Dunleavy Jr., and obviously the owner I trust the most in Joe Lacob. So I think that the Warriors, they'll miss Klay Thompson, but I think that they'll find their way at least into the play-in tournament. They still have Draymond. Buddy Hield, maybe change the scenery. Trace Jackson-Davis showed potential last year. Jonathan Kuminga should be better. Moses Moody, they just paid. Brandon Podzinski, they liked last year. They picked Quentin Post in the draft. Andrew Wiggins is still on this team. Maybe his head's in the right space. And then Kyle Anderson's on the team. So they have some pieces. Obviously, Kevin Looney's still there as well. D'Anthony Melton I like too. And Gary Payton is still on this team. So it's going to be interesting. I have them at 41-41. But I won't be shocked if they're worse than this. And I won't be shocked if they're better than this. 11th in the conference, I have at 38-44 the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, no Lakers in the playoffs, unfortunately. Sorry, Laker fans. Yeah, I just think this team is significantly worse than it was last year, even though they made the playoffs last year. I just think this team's not very good. They're a two-man team, and both guys are old and injury-prone at this point, especially Davis. And LeBron, we'll see. He's been in the league for so long now. This is, I believe, his 22nd, if not 21st season. They're relying on a lot of guys. Gabe Vincent wasn't there for a lot of last year. Christian Wood, Cam Reddish. D'Angelo Russell had some moments last year. Jared Vanderbilt. All these guys that got the trade deadline 2 years ago, they're relying on for them to be better. Rui Hachimura. And then the guy they picked in the draft, I believe it was last year, Max Christie, if not 2 years ago. And then obviously the two rookies, Dalton Knecht and none other than Bronny James. And Jalen Hood-Schifino from last year to rely on. And Jackson Hayes is on the team. They have a lot of names on the roster. But there's 10 teams I'd rather be than the Lakers in this conference, and it's loaded. This is probably a playoff team in the East. The Lakers are probably a playoff team in the East. Like, I probably would have picked them, like, 9th in the East. I would have had them ahead of Chicago and Charlotte. But, no, they're not in the East. They're in the West. And I think it's going to be a long year in Los Angeles. And I think it's going to be a long year for the Los Angeles Clippers as well, who I have a 37-45. So I have them both out of the playoffs and one win separating the two. And the reason why I have the Lakers out of the Clippers is because Kawhi Leonard's already hurt. So they lose Paul George. James Harden's back. This seems a lot worse without Paul George. Sorry. Kevin Porter Jr. they're relying on. PJ Tucker, who I think they're trying to trade. Zubac is still there. Terrence Mann they like. Bones Highland they got from Denver. Chris Dunn. Amir Coffey. Cam Christie they picked in the draft. Nick Batum's still there. Mo Bamba. Ty Lue's still there. Jeff Van Gundy's on the staff now. Who knows? Maybe he's their coach next year. Jay Larinaga is still on the staff. Brian Shaw. They have some big names on the coaching staff. Larry Drew. Holy crap. It's a lot of big names on the coaching staff with Ty Lue. And we'll see if that's a potential blow-it-up team, them and the Lakers, perhaps. And even Golden State if Wembanyama has this massive leap, and all of a sudden the Spurs are in the 40s. They could knock the Warriors out. But I don't see it yet with them. They're next. I have it 13th, the Spurs at 30-52, the San Antonio Spurs. This is a team on the rise, obviously, but I just don't think they're there yet. They had Chris Paul on this team. I think he'd be a good veteran presence for Victor Wembanyama. Devin Vassell's still on this team. Zach Collins, Keldon Johnson they like. I think Stephon Castle's going to help them. Julian Champagne from St. John's, I think, is going to help him. Harrison Barnes is on this team now. Like, they have some veterans that go around Wemby, but the West is too good. And I don't think Greg Popovich is that elite of a head coach anymore. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, he's the Belichick of the NBA. I feel like he's too old school for the league. I'm sorry. He's Belichick at this point. And I'm surprised he hasn't retired yet. And I think the reason why he's still coaching is because he wants to coach Wembanyama. If they didn't pick Wembanyama, or if they didn't win that lottery, he would have retired by now. That's a fact. I think he would have already retired by now if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama. And Wembanyama is, of course, the reason why he's still coaching. And I don't blame him. Wembanyama is going to be special. So, the Spurs are going to be fun, but I have them winning 30 games. 14th, with the record of 23-59, the Utah Jazz. This Jazz team isn't going to be good. It's crazy that they didn't trade Lauri Markkanen, and now he can't be traded for a year. So he's probably going to be traded next year. Walker Kessler's still on this team. They have Kyle Filipowski. I think he's going to help them. Cody Williams, it's a good draft pick as well. Jordan Clarkson's still there. John Collins. They're going to trade a lot of those guys. And then they also have Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Colin Sexton's still on this team. So I think this is another trade machine team. Patty Mills. But the reason why they could potentially be better than expected is because Will Hardy has coached his ass off the last 2 years and gets a lot out of his players. So maybe they're better than what I have them at. But the reason why I have their record so low is because I think they're going to trade some guys and blow it up. And in 15th in the West, I have the record of 20-62, the Portland Trailblazers. You can make a case for them for the worst team in the NBA, but I think Brooklyn's going to be worse. The only reason why I think Portland could be a little bit better than people think is because I think Scoot Henderson can make a year 2 leap. Donovan Clingan, great draft pick. I think he'll help them. Bob Carrington, I think, is going to be good. And I'd like Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek actually is on the Knicks, actually, so he's going to help them. And Bob Carrington is actually on the Wizards. That's what I meant to say for the Wizards. He's going to help them. But yeah, this is kind of a fantasy trade machine team too, Portland. Robert Williams, Matthias Thybulle, and Fernie Simons, I expect to be on different teams after the trade deadline. Same with Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton, and even Denny Avdija, or who I like as well. He could be on another team as well, or they keep him as a building block to go with Scoot, Clingan, and Shaedon Sharpe. So, and Chris Murray's on this team too. So, but yeah, this is another fantasy trade machine team, and I think that Chauncey Billups, to me, is the leader in the clubhouse for forced coach fired. All right, NBA playoffs, the play-in tournament. I have the 7 seed Indiana Pacers hosting the 8 seed Miami Heat. Should be a fun game in Indianapolis. But I think that the better coach is Eric Spoelstra, and maybe the Miami Heat make a couple trade deadline additions to make that team better. So I'm going to go with the Miami Heat over the Indiana Pacers in the 7-8 playing game. The 9-10 playing game, I have the Chicago Bulls hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Josh Giddey, I think, is going to be a contender for most improved, as I do Brandon Miller. But I think the better coach and the more experienced coach and Billy Donovan will get that team ready to go. And I think the Bulls will win the matchup over Charlotte, who lacks playoff experience. All right, in the Western Conference, I have the 7 seed Sacramento Kings hosting the 8 seed Houston Rockets. Upstart Houston playoff tested Sacramento. Like the lamp, I think Sacramento home court will matter. Best guy on the court, probably De'Aaron Fox. DeRozan hit some big shots in his life before, too. So I'm going to go with the Kings over the Rockets in that 7-8. And then the 9-10 I have in the West, the New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, you have Zion against Steph, star power galore in that game. Steve Kerr against Willie Green. I think this is one last hurrah for Stephen Curry and company. So I'm going to say the Warriors beat the Pelicans in New Orleans in the 9-10 game. And then for the last spot in the East, I have the Indiana Pacers hosting the Chicago Bulls for the 8th seed. I think the pressure with the Pacers, they thrive in these kind of spots against inferior opponents. Best guy in the court, Tyrese Halliburton. So I'm going to go with the Pacers over the Bulls for the 8th seed. And for the West 8th seed, I have the Houston Rockets hosting the Golden State Warriors. And I think this is going to be actual swan song for Golden State. I think this Rockets team is going to be energized at home. And I think that Sengun's a bad matchup for Golden State. So I'm going to say the Rockets over the Warriors. All right, round 1. I have your Eastern Conference 8 seed, Indiana Pacers, against your Eastern Conference 1 seed, New York Knicks. So round 2 rematch. And I'm going to predict the outcome. It would have been if OG Anunoby didn't get hurt, Knicks in 5. All right, I have the 7 seed Miami Heat against the 2 seed Boston Celtics. So that's a rematch of round 1 from last year, and a conference finals rematch from 2 years ago. I think that Miami, like I said, will have a better team after the trade deadline. But ultimately, Boston's better. They're healthier. So I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics over the Miami Heat in 5 games. So Eastern Conference 6 seed Orlando Magic against the 3 seed Cleveland Cavaliers. So a round 1 rematch from last year. I think it's going to be the same outcome. Best guy in the series. Maybe Paolo Banchero, if not Donovan Mitchell. I think it's the same outcome. Like I said, Cavs over the Magic in 7. Eastern Conference 5 seed Milwaukee Bucks against the 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers. So you have Giannis against Embiid in round 1. Doc Rivers against his old team, which is a lot of fun. So the Eastern Conference, my projected Eastern Conference round 1 series are amazing. So 2 round 1 rematches, a round 2 rematch, and Doc Rivers against the Bucks. How do you like that? But ultimately, I think the depth of Philadelphia will prevail here. So I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers over the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 games. All right, Western Conference, round 1. You have your Western Conference 8 seed Houston Rockets against the 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's the old James Harden Bowl, the old Russell Westbrook Bowl, the Chris Paul Bowl. A lot of history between these 2 franchises, but those are back in the Daryl Morey games. But Sam Presti has a lot of history against this franchise as well. And then you have the Sengun factor that the Thunder passed up on Sengun, which might be catastrophic if this group of players doesn't win the title. So I'm going to go with the best guy in the series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They have the experience. And this is a nice little boost for the Rockets. So I'm going to say the Thunder over the Rockets in 5 games. All right, your 7 seed Sacramento Kings against your 2 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Really fun series with a lot of big-name players in it. Sabonis versus Gobert would be a fun matchup. But ultimately, best guy in the series is Anthony Edwards. So I'm going to go with the Timberwolves over the Kings in 5 games. You have your Western Conference 6 seed Memphis Grizzlies against the 3 seed Dallas Mavericks. Really fun series. Luka against Ja. A lot of good role players on both sides. Marcus Smart. And then Klay against Memphis. And Klay's had some playoff moments against Memphis in the past. I think Klay will be a difference maker. And at this point, rejuvenated on a new team. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks over the Memphis Grizzlies in 6 games. And then Western Conference 5 seed Phoenix Suns against the Western Conference 4 seed the Denver Nuggets. Rematch of a playoff series from 2 years ago when Denver swept Phoenix. Or was that last year when they swept Phoenix? They swept Phoenix last year, and 2 years ago they beat them in 6 in their title run. So this was a rematch of the last 2 years. So you have Durant against Jokic, but I just think that this Denver team is in a little bit of turmoil. We don't know about Jamal Murray, and I think that this Suns team, I think, could be poised to pull off a little bit of an upset. So I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns over the Denver Nuggets in 6 games. Semifinals. Eastern Conference 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers against Eastern Conference 1 seed New York Knicks. Rematch of round 1 from last year. Both these teams are better with Paul George and Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns respectively on those teams. The question is, will Embiid be healthier? He's never made a conference finals in his life. And I don't see it happening here, as Jalen Brunson will make his 2nd career conference finals, with the other one coming with the Mavericks a couple of years ago. So I'm going to go with your 1 seed New York Knicks over the 4 seed Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games. And your Eastern Conference 3 seed Cleveland Cavaliers against your Eastern Conference 2 seed Boston Celtics. Rematch round 2 from last year as well. The Cavs, I think, are better than they were a year ago. Better coach. I think that they'll be a little bit more competitive against Boston this time around. So I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics over the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games. Western Conference semifinals, 5 seed Phoenix Suns against the 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant against his old team. How do you like that? Or his original team. So that's really fun. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How's the Durant reception going to be in OKC? That would be really interesting. 2 of Chris Paul's ex-teams, ironically enough. So for this one, I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder over the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. The Suns lose yet another home elimination game. And then the other side of the Western Conference, I have the 3 seed Dallas Mavericks against the 2 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Awesome series. Rematch of the conference finals from last year. I think Dallas is better with Klay Thompson. I think Minnesota's better, even with trading Towns. I think they're better because of what they got in return. I think this is going to be a monster series. I think it's a 7-gamer. I mean, Luka's probably the best guy in the series. But I think with home court advantage, I think that Anthony Edwards is finally going to have his moment against Luka. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves over to Dallas Mavericks in 7 games. Conference finals. In the Eastern Conference, you have the 2 seed Boston Celtics against the 1 seed New York Knicks. You would think all the pressure in the world is going to be on the Knicks, being in their first conference finals in forever. Boston is going to have some pressure going for the repeat, obviously, and their 3rd finals in 4 years. But I think the bottom line is I think the best guy in the series is Jason Tatum. And the Knicks are close. But I think that Boston, with their experience, will get them over the top. So with the Boston Celtics over the New York Knicks in 6 games. And the Western Conference Finals, I have the 2 seed Minnesota Timberwolves against the 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Fantastic series. Can't wait for it. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards. You could argue either guy for best guy in the series. And the idea of the Knicks and the T-Wolves in the conference finals with the trade is so funny. But I think ultimately the better team is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're the deeper team as well. So I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder over the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6 games. NBA Finals. Your Eastern Conference 2 seed Boston Celtics against your Western Conference 1 seed Oklahoma City Thunder. Fantastic series. So you have SGA against Tatum and Brown, Chet Holmgren, a lot of stars and up-and-coming stars, 2 really good coaches in Joe Mazzulla and Mark Dagnall. two great general managers in Brad Stevens and Sam Presti, who both are masterminds at building teams. I think either team can win this series. But I think because of home court and the big additions they made in the offseason with Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, I think the Thunder are the better team and they're equipped to take down the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to go with the Oklahoma City Thunder over the Boston Celtics in 6 games to win their first NBA championship in franchise history. All right, season awards. I love picking the season awards, as you guys know. My season MVP, Luka Doncic. He's the best player in basketball right now. Not Nikola Jokic. Luka was in the finals last year, and Jokic wasn't. And Luka could have very well won the finals if he didn't foul out in Game 3. That series could have been completely different. So, best guy in the world is Luka, hands down. He's the MVP. Runner-up for MVP, I'm going to go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with the surprise one, Victor Wembanyama. How about that? I love Wemby. He's so fun to watch. He was amazing as a rookie last season. He led the league in blocks. He was the Rookie of the Year, All-NBA defense first team. He's going to make the first team defense again, and he's going to win the Defensive Player of the Year this year. Granted, his team stinks. But he's earned my respect because he's Wemby. Sixth Man of the Year, Dante DiVincenzo. I did tell you that this trade was going to be a win-win. I think Dante is going to be amazing coming off the bench in Minnesota. I probably would have picked him for this award if he stayed on the Knicks. But obviously he is now in Minnesota, and I think he's going to thrive there as the sixth man. Runner-up for this award, I am going to go with there's some good calls on a lot of these. This was a hard one to pick as a runner-up. You have guys all over on contenders I think could really thrive as sixth men. My runner-up for the award, I'm going to go with this is such a hard call. All these contenders have so many good bench guys. But let's go with the runner-up for this award. Let's go with a surprise one. I'm going with Seth Curry on Charlotte. I really think that he's going to have a big impact on that team. Most improved player, I'm going back to the well from the pick I had last year. On a new team, I think he's going to become the guy, Josh Giddey. Yeah, I'm doing it. Going back to the well with my guy, Josh Giddey. I think that he is going to have a big impact on the Bulls. And I have the Bulls in the play-in game. So I really think that is going to help his cause. Runner-up, I'm going to go with Brandon Miller. Rookie of the Year, Zach Edey. Yes, I'm going to go with Zach Edey on Memphis. Memphis is a playoff team, and I think he's going to contribute for them. He's starting for them at center as well, which is a big deal. He's going to get a lot of minutes. And I think playing with Ja Morant is going to do him wonders. And I think Triple J's absence will allow him to have an impact. And then Triple J can play power forward when he comes back. And my runner-up for Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Stephon Castle on the Spurs. Coach of the Year, I'm going with Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks. I have them winning this award for the second time in 4 years. I have them as the 1 seed in the East. And I think there's a possibility that there's going to be guys that are going to miss time. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson's out to start the year. OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns have shady injury history, but I think they have the depth to overcome that. And I think Thibodeau will get the credit for it. And my runner-up for Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Charles Lee of Charlotte. Executive of the Year, Sam Presti, Oklahoma City Thunder, of course. They picks up Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein to a team that I think is likely to win a title. So, and they're my pick to win the title. So, of course, I'm going to go with Sam Presti. Runner-up for Executive of the Year, I'm going with Leon Rose of the Knicks. Getting Towns in the Bridges, and I have them in the conference finals. So, he's going to be my runner-up for Executive of the Year. So, those are my season award picks. Now I'm quickly going to do some futures that I want to look at. And I'll give out ones that I like the most with the season approaching. So the championship winner, the top choice is Celtics plus 310, Thunder plus 650, Knicks plus 750, Philly and Minnesota 10-1, Denver's 11-1, so is Dallas, Milwaukee's 14-1, then it drops. My favorite long shot on the board is the Grizzlies at 34-1. Ja's a super duper star. JJJ comes back sooner than expected and has an impact. Zach Edey is a keeper. Desmond Bane, good 3-and-D guy. Taylor Jenkins, good coach. Could always make another move at the deadline. That's my favorite long shot. The Memphis Grizzlies at 34-1 from a value standpoint. My favorite short number, I would throw the Thunder plus 650 in any parlay in America. And then in the teens and double digits there. I don't hate the Timberwolves at 10-1, and I don't hate the Mavericks at 11. And I honestly don't hate the Knicks at plus 750 either, but I just didn't want to give that one out only because the STD in me is a Knicks fan. But I do think it's now the realm of possibility. NBA Finals exact result. Thunder beat the Celtics at 20-1. I like that. And a long shot one that I don't hate. How about the Brunson Bowl? What is the Knicks to beat the Mavs is 55-1, but the Mavs to beat the Knicks is 60-1. I like those two a lot. And then a triple digit one, the Knicks to beat the Grizzlies 110-1. Suns to beat the Knicks 100-1 is a good one too. And the Thunder to beat the Cavs is 110-1. That's also a really fun one. NBA Finals MVP. That's ridiculous that they have that. Conference winners. Boston plus 150, Knicks plus 350, Sixers 5-1, Bucks 7-1, then it drops. Favorite long shot. Cleveland 18-1. New coach, good core that's still together. West Thunder plus 310, T-Wolves 5-1, Denver's 5-1, Dallas plus 550, Phoenix plus 950, then it drops. Favorite long shot. The Kings at 24-1 I think is really interesting. They upgrade with DeRozan over Barnes, and then they have Sabonis and Fox who are capable of going off at any point, and Mike Brown's a good coach. So Kings as the long shot at 24-1 I think is really interesting. The 1 seed in the East, Boston plus 110, Knicks plus 350, Philly 8-1, Milwaukee 9-1. Then it drops. My favorite long shotty one is, What if Paulo Banchero makes the big leap and somehow the Magic are the 1 seed and their defense is awesome? That's my favorite long shot one. To beat the West number 1 seed, OKC plus 105, Mini 5-1, Denver plus 650, then it drops. Again, Memphis 16-1, Ja, the whole deal. Division. Atlantic, Boston's minus 150, Knicks plus 220, Philly 5-1, then the 2 bad teams are 500-1. Knicks plus 220 is good value. I have them winning that division. The NBA in-season tournament will do when the time comes. Central Division winner, Bucks plus 130, Cleveland plus 165, Indy plus 240, Bulls 180-1, Detroit 400-1. I like the Cavs at plus 165. I would like it better if it was over 2-1, but it's over 150 at least. Northwest Division, OKC minus 150, Minnesota plus 290, Denver plus 360, Portland and Utah 500-1. Minnesota plus 290 is my favorite value pick in that division. Pacific, Phoenix plus 150, Sacramento plus 250, Golden State plus 390, Lakers 5-1, Clippers 24-1. Sacramento plus 250 is my favorite value play there. Southeast Division, Orlando minus 140, Miami plus 185, Atlanta plus 750, Charlotte 32-1, Washington 50 or 500-1. I don't have Charlotte 32-1. It's my favorite value play. The case there is Miller makes a jump, LaMelo stays healthy, Charles Lee's a good coach, Seth Curry helps them. That's my favorite super-duper long shot to win any division. Charlotte 32-1 to win Southeast. Southwest Division, Dallas plus 140, Memphis plus 260, New Orleans plus 390, Houston plus 550, Spurs 21-1. My favorite value is Memphis plus 260. I just like Memphis a lot. Season awards, Luka's the favorite, plus 330, Shai's plus 380, Nikola Jokic plus 450, Giannis and Edwards plus 850, then it drops. My favorite long shot here is Ja Morant at 30-1. In the teens, Brunson 13-1 because I have them as the 1 seed. Ridiculous, Wembanyama 20-1. And my favorite triple-digit long shot is Devin Booker at 100-1. And I think Durant even at 75 is interesting, and Steph at 45 is somewhat interesting. And even Joel Embiid at 34, I think that's crazy. Zach Edey is now the favorite for the Rookie of the Year, plus 290. That's absurd. And I have them winning it, too. Rich Desais plus 750, Reed Shepard plus 850, Alex Sarr and Stephen Kessler 10-1, and it drops. My favorite long shot for Rookie of the Year is probably Donovan Clingan at 20-1 on Portland. I think the Portland team sucks, but I think he's going to be a bright spot on the team. So Donovan Clingan at 20-1 I like. Victor Wembanyama is a minus 155 favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. Chet and Bam are 11-1. Evan Mobley's 14. Rudy Gobert's 18, then it drops. Rudy Gobert at 18-1 is good value because he's won it several times in the past. And I think crazy long shot is Herb Jones at 60-1. Same with Jonathan Isaac at 60-1. But I think Rudy at 18 is really good. Most improved player, Wemby's plus 650. 10-1 Josh Giddey. 11-1 Jalen Williams, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Jackson. 15-1 Jalen Green. 18-1 Evan Mobley. Then it drops. I have Josh Giddey. That's my pick. He's 10-1. But my favorite long shot is Brandon Miller at 45-1 on Charlotte. He was my runner-up for the award. I like him the most. And I think Brandon Podzinski's a good one at 50. Denny Avdija at 60 is good. I think Jabari at 60 is good. Derek Lively at 100-1 is good. There's a lot of good ones that you can get from a value standpoint. Moses Moody 200. And Bilal Coulibaly on Washington is 301, which is crazy. So I would bet Giddey at 10. But my favorite long shot, obviously, is Brandon Miller at 45-1. Sixth man of the year, Malik Monk's the favorite at plus 650. Benedict Mathurin's 10-1. Naz Reid, Karis LeVert are 12-1. Jaime Jaquez is 13. Dante DiVincenzo, CJ McCollum are 15. Alex Caruso and Bogdan Bogdanovic are 16. Bobby Portis is 17, then it drops. Obviously, Dante at 15-1. That was my pick. And from a value standpoint, I like Grayson Allen at 35-1. I like Deuce McBride at 25-1 from the Knicks. Where's Seth Curry? Is he on the list? On Charlotte? Because I think that he has a great chance. Trey Mann is the guy on Charlotte on this list at 55-1. But I would go with Seth Curry as my runner-up. But yeah, Dante's the pick. And the other value plays, I gave him out Grayson Allen at 35 and Deuce McBride at 25. And obviously Pritchard at 60 on Boston as like a longer shot. Coach of the year. Guess who's the favorite? Tom Thibodeau, 7-1. That was my pick. Ime Udoka plus 850. That's a good one. Taylor Jenkins is 11. Joe Mazzulla, Mike Budenholzer, and Willie Green are at 12. Jamal Mosley's 14. Kenny Atkinson's 15. Eric Spoelstra 16. Greg Popovich 17. I knew Popovich would have not long shot odds and it drops. My pick was Thibodeau. He's 7-1. I like Atkinson at 15-1. What if they're the 1 seed? I think that has some value. Budenholzer has value at 12. Longer shots. My guy, Charles Lee, 40-1 on Charlotte. And Quinn Snyder, even if they're a playoff team, he's also 40-1. So my runner-up, Charles Lee, 40-1 is a good value pick. Oh, my least favorite award, the Clutch Player of the Year. I didn't even make a pick for this, but I would have picked Jalen Brunson. He's one of the favorites at 11-1 with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, and Luka Doncic. Damian Lillard and Anthony Edwards are 15, and it drops. Long shot for this award. For the Clutch Player of the Year. It's my least favorite award, obviously. But from a semi-long shot spot, I don't hate DeMar DeRozan at 25-1, even though that team is going to share some touches there. So, let's quickly do the win totals. Hawks 36.5 under even money, and the overs minus 120. Celtics over under 50.5 wins. Overs plus 108, unders minus 132 under. Nets 19.5, overs minus 8, unders minus 112. Slade under. Bulls 28.5, overs minus 106, unders minus 115. Absolutely love the over. Charlotte 31.5, overs plus 104, unders minus 128. Love the over. Cleveland, 48.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. I like the over. Dallas, 49.5, overs minus 102, unders minus 28. Over. Denver, over 50.5 wins, overs minus 122, unders even money. Slight under. Detroit, 25.5, overs minus 124, unders plus 102. Slight under. Golden State, 43.5, overs minus 130, unders plus 106. Like the under plus money. Houston, over under 42.5, overs minus 112, unders minus 8. I like the over. Pacers, 46.5, overs minus 8, unders minus 12, 46.5. Slight under. Clippers, 35.5, overs minus 8, unders minus 12. Over. Lakers, 42.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Under. Grizzlies, 46.5, overs minus 8, unders minus 112. Slight over. Heat, 43.5, overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Slight over. Bucks, 49.5, overs even money, unders minus 122. Slight under. T-Wolves, 51.5, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Over. Big time over. Pelicans, 45.5, overs plus 102, unders minus 124. Under. Knicks, 53.5, overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Over. Thunder, 57.5, minus 10 each way. Over. Magic, 47.5, overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Slight under. Sixers, 49.5, overs minus 115, unders minus 105. Over. Slight though. Suns, 48.5, overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Slight over. Portland, 20.5, minus 10 each way. Slight under. Kings, 46.5, overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Slight under. I have a ton of slights. There's like right on the number. Spurs, 35.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Hard under. Raptors, 28.5, overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Under. Jazz, 27.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Way under. Wizards, 19.5, overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Slight over. To make the playoffs, favorite long shot, the Bulls plus 650. I have them in the play-in, but that's a good number for them to make the playoffs. And then the West. The Rockets at plus 104 is my favorite. What does the Lakers know? Minus 110. Oh, well. What is the... Where's the play-in? What's Golden State's no? Plus 114. Atlanta's no. Minus 184, okay. What's Charlotte's yes? Plus 410. Like I said, that's my favorite one. Play-in. Charlotte's plus 115. I'd bet that. If I could parlay that, I would parlay Miami, Charlotte, and Indiana with Golden State right now. And a crazy play-in that you maybe wouldn't expect to be in the play-in. I think if things go bad for like Denver, plus 270 in the play-in's not crazy. And the same thing happens to Philly again. Remember, they were in the play-in last year. Plus 270. Milwaukee, plus 260 is a crazy one as well for the play-in tournament. So those are some futures. And there you have it for the 2024-25 NBA season preview and prediction show. I'm going to look back on this when the season ends to see how I did.